Randi Halaway is joining us today on Awaken and Ascend to share how self-leadership and personal power are keys to creating the life and business of your dreams. She knows that when you learn how to lead yourself, regulate your nervous system, and connect to your personal power, you can create whatever your heart desires. So, if you are ready to move past the fear, the chaos, the limiting beliefs, and really step into clarity, freedom, and the whole realm of infinite possibilities, then this is where you want to be right now. I'm Jennifer Regular, the host of Awaken and Ascend, and also the soul illuminator over at Lighting the Path. So, keep tuning in because all is about to be revealed. Randi, so awesome to have you here. I'm really excited for this conversation. I feel like we're aligned on so many levels, but I'm really curious about you and how you got on this path. What inspired you to be doing this kind of work?
Oh my gosh, well, thank you, first of all, so much for being here or for allowing me to be here. And yeah, that's kind of a big question. So I actually grew up in this space. My dad is a coach and author and teacher and trainer and coach. So I've sort of been in it my whole life. And I went through, phases in my younger years. I was in it and I was like, I don't think I want to do this. And then I was in it and then I don't think I want to do this. And then around 24, I had some things going on personally, and I just decided that I was going to commit to my own personal journey, and investing in my healing and my expansion and my transformation. And so as I did that, that progressed on, what I was doing in my career, what I was doing in my personal life. And I was a hairstylist for 17 years. I owned a salon for 5.5. And at some point, I really was started asking myself, what am I the most passionate about? And what I realized is I had been coaching my clients for 17 years behind the chair, and I had been creating coaching programs for all my employees while I had the salon. And while I loved being an entrepreneur, I loved creating businesses, I loved supporting people, I really was the most passionate about helping women really remember who they were, learn how to make themselves a priority, learn how to love themselves, regulate their nervous system, connect more to their power, and make their decisions more from that place. And so I decided to sell my salon in 2017. The story for another time. It was a whole journey. I actually had a business coach at the time who told me I wouldn't sell it, I wouldn't make any money. So I was like, okay. I just kind of got clear on, what my vision was, and attracted these two young gals who came in and bought it for close to asking price. And then I started this coaching journey, this online coaching journey, which has been also very expansive and very transformational. And now I really dive in and help women understand who they are at a deeper level and learn how to lead themselves, learn how to connect to their personal power and create life, business relationships from that place.
I love that, Randy. And I love how much you embodied that leadership for yourself and have done the inner work. And it's such a common thread to see how people overlap their career and their calling and build that confidence and really get more clarity and really do the transformational work and be able to accept their gifts fully and embody that and then present it into the world and be ready to commit. And so I love that for you. I love that for everyone. We hear that from all of our guests and quite a few of the audience members as well. And I love that you're so passionate about it. I know in my times of turmoil, one of many, but one of my primary wake up moments was getting a deeper understanding of what passion actually meant. Because when you break up the word, it's pass I on. And that I being your soul's expression of what you're here to pass on in this lifetime.
Beautiful.
So I love this self leadership and personal power journey that you're on, and you're calling people into it just by being that, presence is where the transformation happens. So I'm really curious about how life unfolded for you once you really committed to what you're most passionate about.
Yeah, so it was a journey. I'll go back just a little bit. So I was married in my early 20s, and then which was actually a really beautiful experience, but we grew apart. And then as I was starting my salon, I was kind of on my own journey there. And then I ended up getting married again in my mid 30s. And um, the year that I sold the salon, it was 2017. In September of 2017, I got engaged to who I thought was truly the love of my life. I had waited 10 years to get married again. And I sold my salon in November of that year. I got married in March of 2018 and started the divorce process in August of 2018. So within a year, all of that had happened for me. So now I'm 37 years old. I'm having my second divorce. I'm literally like sitting on literally on the kitchen floor. I had a best friend that had to come like pick me up because I'm thinking, how did I get here? How did I do this? Like I've been in this work for so long. I understood all of this, but what I realized is that I understood it intellectually. Could have written a book about it years ago, but what I wasn't doing was integrating into my body, into my feelings, into what it was that I was afraid of. I was still running from my fear. I was still running from my feelings. I was still letting my fear make my choices for me. And so that experience, while extremely heartbreaking and challenging, it actually cracked open my heart. In that moment, I knew I had a choice. I had a lot of content to go down this victim mentality path. But I was like, that doesn't feel like the right path for me. So I pulled out of it and I started going down the victor path. And I started taking the experience, taking my ex and moving him to the side and looking at myself in the mirror and asking, why did I say yes to this? Why did I walk down the aisle? Why did I choose it? Why did I stay? And what that started doing is like literally cracking me open in ways that I didn't even know were possible. When we're willing to take personal responsibility for our own choices, something really, really powerful and magical happens on the other side. And so as I was going through that, I was also simultaneously, and so my business had gone from being so busy to now having all this time, which was obviously bringing up things too. So I started navigating that at a deeper level, starting to learn how to feel, to get into my body, to regulate my nervous system, to actually address what it was that I was feeling versus pushing it down. And I noticed when I started doing that, the feelings started to actually pass. And then when that would happen, I would naturally fall into this state where I was like, whoa, like I'm really powerful. Like I'm already safe. I already have access to what it is that I need within inside of me. And now all of a sudden I was like, whoa, okay, let's go. And I'm like, why didn't anyone tell me this? And it's always funny because of course, I had mentors my whole life telling me this, but I wasn't ready to hear it. And so I was ready at this point. And so that's when I really dove in and started creating my coaching business and my online business, which is I have now. And, that took its course too, and it had its own path. But that's how I really started to open up. And through my own transformation, I started teaching people the same things that I was learning and healing from and how I was healing from that. And that's how it continued to grow and continue to evolve over time to, 8 years later, here we are.
Yay. I am so glad you're here, Randy. So glad
Yeah.
you're here. Yeah. And thankful too for everyone tuning into this right now because I know that you're resonating with this and this is hitting some spots. And we'd love to hear about that in the comments, of course. And transformation is really about that, isn't it, Randy? Is about transforming the form that your life and your roles have taken in the past, right? And how we identified with that or attached to them and moving beyond that, elevating your life essentially beyond that, from that victim into the victor, for example. And I hear your readiness came when you chose. You chose the path, the right path that felt most aligned with who you are and how you were called to serve in this lifetime. And so, how do you manage all of that? How do you manage life on all levels? Because a lot of times that we get called to serve, then we almost get tunnel vision and that's all we focus on and want to do, right?
That's a really good question. So for me, it comes down to making myself a priority. So first and foremost, I'm very intentional about what it is that I'm focusing on in my life. I take my clients through this process where we constantly have a current focus and area, and then we create statements based on what it is we're creating. And we have this current focus to keep us focused.
Mm,
Sometimes we're not focused. The thing is if you're not being intentional, you're being unintentional.
mm,
And whatever you're doing, if you're unintentional, you get unintentional results. If you're intentional, you get intentional results. So for me, it's about being intentional about what really matters to me. What am I focused on? And so that's a whole other kind of exercise I take my clients through. But what it really comes down to first and foremost is that it took all of that happening for me to realize like, oh yeah, it wasn't about having the perfect man, the perfect ring, the bigger house, more money, the perfect waistline, all the likes on Instagram, whatever it is. It was about learning how to make me the priority.
mm.
When I started making myself the priority, that's when everything changed in my life. So, how I manage and navigate all the things that I have going on with clients and a membership and workshops and speaking and doing all these things, podcast interviews, is I make myself a priority. I slow
Mhm.
down every day and I take time every single morning and I journal and I meditate and I breathe and I visualize and I go into my day intentionally. I check in. How are you feeling? What do you need? So think about it from this way. You wouldn't go a month without cleaning your house, washing your dishes. You wouldn't go a month without washing your clothes. You wouldn't go a month without showering. But how often do you clean your emotional body?
Mm.
How often do you take time to slow down and to clean up what's inside? Because the reality is, it's all a reflection, right? Whatever's going on in your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. So if you're in a space in your life right now where you're looking at your outer world, and maybe everyone takes a moment right now and they kind of just, just take a second and think about your outer world, your results, what's going on in your relationships, your finances, your career, your job, family, whatever that is. How do you feel about it? Do you feel good about what your outer results are? If you do, amazing. Go celebrate that. If you don't, the idea here is turning it around and looking at what's inside because it's a reflection. And so, what I started doing is making myself a priority and every day cleaning up and saying, how do you feel? What do you need? What do we need to let go of? Regulating my system, grounding myself, being intentional going into my day. So now what happens is because I'm now more in my power than in chaos or again being unintentional, I can look at my to-do list and I actually know what's productive. I'm no
Mm.
longer putting 1,000 things on my list because that's never going to work. That's a setup, right? And I'm just going in, I'm present with what I said yes to, and that's how I'm managing it. And I'm going moment to moment. So I'm setting myself up for success in the morning, but then I'm also checking in throughout the day. So now I've become my own best friend. So think about how often you talk to your best friend or whoever your closest loved one is. You're probably thinking about them. How are they doing? Do they need anything? Are they okay? Think about how that relationship built and grew over time is because you were investing time into it. You are checking in, you are asking questions. So, what if you started doing that to yourself?
Mm.
So now I'm constantly checking in throughout my day, like, how do I feel? What do I need? Ooh, did I take something on? Let me clear my energy. Let me reground so I can go into this. Maybe I just, I could have had something big happen prior to this, but it's like, well, I want to go into this present. So I intentionally ground, come in here, and then I do the same and continue to do. So some people might listen to this and say, well, that's a lot of work. I've had people say that to me before. And I think it's actually the opposite to not
Mhm.
do it. And then to create all the chaos that comes with not doing it is actually a lot more work than learning this skill set, which is life changing. And it becomes a lifestyle.
Mhm.
Once it became a lifestyle, it's just a part of like getting up, brushing your teeth, taking a shower, stopping at a stop sign, eating some food, check in with myself. How do I feel? What do I need? Am I breathing? Am I in my head or my heart? Am I in victim or victor? Am I giving my power away or am I in my power? All those questions bring you present. And the reality is that everything that you're looking for in your life, safety, freedom, happiness, joy, love, abundance, all those feelings, they can only exist in the present moment.
Mhm.
But our mind and our chaotic patterns, our ego-based thoughts keep us in the past or the future. And so all of this keeps us present. And that's how you actually live the life of your dreams. Not because life is perfect, not because there's no challenge, not because there's no disappointment or heartbreak. This is planet Earth. It comes
It's gonna happen.
right. It's inevitable. So what I teach is like, what if you just learn how to navigate it?
Mhm.
And what if you learned how to lead yourself in a way where you didn't have to get knocked down every time there was a challenge and you kind of got into this like I'm just gonna like get into navigate and solution mode and go back to having fun.
Mm.
Longer-winded answer, but that's how I do it.
Yeah, I love that. And get back to having fun, right? It's obviously something you value. And I love that you're dedicating your days to and devoting it to what you're most about, what you're most passionate about. And that it's based on heartfelt priorities and passionate productivity, not society's version of what that means and the pressure and the hustle and the things that dysregulate our nervous system, right? And really staying in touch with who you are because so many of us do it backwards, right? Thinking that it's the doing that gives us the having that we'll finally get to be the person that, society expects us to be.
Yeah, I know it's a
But
lot of
it's the other
pressure too.
way around.
Yeah.
Yeah, that we have to be first. Who are we in everything that we do, that we're here to pass on, right? And then we get to have the having and the doing from that place of personal power as you're talking about so articulately, which I love. So continue. What else is possible when we can get ourselves present?
So that's a big part of what I teach is that truly anything, and I mean anything, there's not anything you could bring me that I don't think is possible when you are creating from your personal power in your heart.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the thing is, first we have to understand that there's two things going on here. We have
Okay.
our ego, we have our limitations, we have our fear, we have our lack. These are those ego-based stories that are like, oh, you're not good enough. Oh, she's better than you. Oh, they're gonna leave or they're gonna reject you, or I can't quit my job and start a business. I can't, I'm gonna fail. All of this constantly going on and on and on. And I go around and around. I call it like a hamster wheel going around to Nowheresville. It
Sure.
takes you nowhere. This is where when you get frustrated because you're hitting the same walls, the same people, this attracting the same type of relationships or conflicts or money issues or weight, whatever it is, right? It's because it's going around and it's taking you to nowhere because it's all based in lack, fear, chaos. And also the part of your mind that's trying to convince you, to your point, as long as I could just get A, B, and C, then I'll finally feel free, safe, happy, etc. So that's an ego-based pattern that anything exists outside of you. The reality is it all already exists inside of you.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
That's the first piece is understanding that this is even at play, that the ego is even at play, and
Yeah.
then learning how to pull out from it, which is taking back your power
Mm-hmm.
and actually learning how to regulate your system, process your emotions, all those types of things, and then come more into your heart and your power. Now, this takes work. This is why they call it the work and it's not for the weak. But it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to be as hard as we make it. It's a choice. When you choose it, it becomes more natural because facing it is actually your freedom. It's like they say, you have to feel it to be free of it. And I always say when you stop running from fear, from your feelings, your uncomfort, it stops chasing you.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're free. There's nothing to run from anymore. And so when you get here, now there's more of a calmness, there's more of a peace, there's more of a knowing that you're already safe, you're already loved, you're already whole within. There's nothing else you need to do. Like the jig is up. You do not need to go do 100 more things in order to be worthy of love or abundance or success or any of those things. You already are there. It's just remembering that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
regulating your system here. So when you're in this place, literally anything you want is possible. Now, that doesn't mean you go from making $1,000 a month to $1 million a month, because that would probably blow your nervous system. But what it means is that you can take incremental steps as long as you're learning to live more in this place.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing I'll say to this piece that's integrated for me even more and more recently is, we can have very like high level visions, high level goals, high level intentions, which is amazing. And I think this might be where a lot of people get frustrated. It's like, well, I set the goal, but why isn't it happening? The
Mm-hmm.
universe isn't delivering. It's being quiet. I'm not getting what I want, right? Well, what's going on and what people a lot of times don't realize is your nervous system is actually what's running the show. So when
Mm-hmm.
you have these high level goals, I want to make 50K a month. I want to have a husband. I want to have a house. I want to have a wife. I want to have a partner. I want to lose weight. I want whatever it is that I want, right? That's all good and great. But if your nervous system is still addicted or functioning in old patterning of chaos, fear, lack, victim, all of these things, that's what it's going to go to. It's going to continue to create these experiences that are like, I know I'm saying I want it to be easy, but actually I like it to be hard. So I'm going to attract these experiences that make it hard. The
Mm-hmm.
idea here is when you learn how to pull out of that, like I was saying, pull out of the ego-based stories and get into your power. What happens is you start to regulate, and you have to sit in this. This is why having this practice is so important because you're reprogramming your entire nervous system and your subconscious mind. And so what happens is you start to sit in this space where it's like, oh, wait a second. It's safe for me to be calm. It's safe for me to be at peace. It's safe for me to feel joy and happiness. It's safe for me to receive a steady relationship and partner who just shows up. And my nervous system isn't like, I need the excitement. I need the up and down. I need the in and out. Same thing with my finances. It's safe for me to receive consistency and consistent growth. Not the in, I have the money, I spent it all. I have the money, it's gone. I don't know when I'm getting it, right? It's this calm place. That, again, like attracts like. So that's when your vision aligned with this nervous system regulation, now you're off to the races. Now magic is literally starting to do its job. And so the idea is learning how to regulate the system to love, power, abundance, freedom, and pull out of those chaotic patterns. When you make that the priority, which going back to what you asked me earlier, how do I do this? Well, I make myself a priority and I make navigating this a priority. So that's what changes everything for me. From my
Mm-hmm.
perspective, this work is the most important work that any of us can be doing. Whatever's on your to-do list right now, it doesn't really matter. There's nothing more important than this because you're creating from what's going on inside.
Yeah.
So your mind, of course, is going to be like, nope, you don't understand. I hear this all the time. Randy, you don't understand. I have a list. I have kids. I have all these things. I do understand. And you're creating in every moment, and it's either from chaos or love. Maybe taking a minute to pull out of the chaos and get more into the grounding and the love would change every interaction that you have in your outer world. And then you wouldn't have
Absolutely.
any problems. But again, it's a choice.
Hmm.
Where do you want to be creating more from chaos and making it hard? Or do you want to be creating more from love and magic and infinite possibilities? And we all have free will, so we get to choose.
We do, and we need that awareness to be able to make an informed decision, right? To make that choice in the right way from our place of power.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And to create that steady foundation, to know that everything that we have is here already, and to be able to allow that to flow through us without the limiting beliefs and the fear and the obligations and the guilt and all of those things that can block that flow
Absolutely.
and take us outside of who we are, take us out of alignment, out of harmony with ourself and
Yeah,
who.
absolutely. And I think
Yeah.
it's important too, like we're not meant to do this work alone.
Mm-mm.
I would not be who I am today, where I am today, if it wasn't for the many, many, many mentors, and I always have one. Because
Mm-hmm.
the
Absolutely.
mind is
Yeah.
tricky. If we were meant to get up and just have great mindset every day and do all the things, put this in and do our meditation and did it and it was perfect, like we would be in a different place. Like we'd be more like robots. Like that's not who we are. We're human. We ebb, we
Right.
flow, we have emotions, we have these patterns. And so, you know, we need help. We all do. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what's going to help us get into it and then have the accountability to stay consistent in it. And also know that you don't have to do this alone. Like you're not alone. We're all going through this. Whether someone wants to admit it or not, everyone has these things, these patterns, these things going on. I think a world where we're all putting light on it and talking about it more, which is starting to happen, and taking more personal responsibility and working towards creating more from our power and our love, that's what heals the planet,
Mm-hmm.
changes the world.
And that's what we're here to do, people. That's what we're here to do. That's what
Yeah.
we're here to do. And we do need a little help. So, Randy, what do you do with people? How do you get them in? What do you do once they connect with you? Tell us a little bit about your work that you're doing now.
Yeah, so kind of just building off of what I've already shared, my passion and purpose is to help women learn how to first and foremost make themselves a priority, lead themselves, regulate their nervous system, acknowledge that they have these ego-based patterns that are running the show, keeping them confused, keeping them in their mind, keeping them cycling through, and learn how to pull out of that. What if you didn't
Mm,
have to buy into the limiting beliefs anymore? What could that do for you? It's life-changing. Actually be responsible for what you're feeling and then get into your power. So that's what I do is I teach you how to become a high-level navigator and ninja at coaching yourself, responding to any challenge, any trigger, any trauma, any uncomfortable feeling that comes your way. So now, again, it's inevitable, it's coming. Now you know how to respond versus react and stay in your power, right? And from that place, what I have found with people is that when you're more in your power, you're more in your heart, you get more clarity in what you actually want. So, sure, maybe you have this vision and this dream you're going towards, but the question is it what you really want? How many times have you done that? You get to the dream and you're like, shoot, that's not really what I wanted because it wasn't really heart centered, right? So, there's nothing wrong with it. It's all growing. So, what I do is I help people learn how to navigate this piece, get into their heart, and then from there, now let's talk about your purpose, your business, your finances, your relationships, and create them from a heart centered place.
mm,
So, this is very transformational, very life-changing work. It's something that I practice every day. And I do it one-on-one with people. So anyone who's really ready to go deeper, we partner and I really am like on your team and I'm someone you'd like to have on your team. And I also have a monthly membership for those who want to just really start with learning how to implement and integrate these teachings, making yourself a priority, regulating your nervous system, responding versus reacting, understanding your mind and your heart, and having that accountability in a container of women that come together and just have those resources and that support. So I have that container as well. And then I always like to offer free experiences for people every like 2 to 4 months. I do a free workshop. I have one coming up on October 20th, and it's called The Illuminated You. And I take you through a process of learning how to kind of pull out of those limitations, connect more to your intuition, get clear on what you want, actually set soul-led intentions. It's a really cool
beautiful.
experience. So I have one coming October 20th. It's completely free. if, this is airing and we're past October 20th, 2025, I have them every like 2 to 3 months. So if you can just go to my website, go to my Instagram, and you'll see the next one that's coming. Or if anyone has a question, feel free to reach out, DM me, or they want to just join any of these offerings that I've said. I'd love to chat with anyone who's feeling called to start to really step into their power and learn how to lead themselves from love.
Beautiful. I love that so much. We're going to have the links down below in the video description so you can easily access everything that Randi is about to offer and connect with her on Instagram. And there's some free resources as well that she's offered for the audience. So we'll have that link in there too, as well as the website to connect and find out about these workshops and other offerings. I too have a sacred leader's compass to also help you navigate that I'll put in the chat as well. And many of you know of the book Embrace Your Power, Healing Journal of Self-Discovery,
Oh,
and The
yeah.
Ultimate Guide to Living Your Legacy. So those are available on my website as well. So many different resources, ways to work with us, ways to really step into self-leadership, embody that for your life and from a place of personal power. So really appreciate all of you for being here. And Randi, love how you're so passionate about this and making this like a normal way of life for people. Thank you so much for sharing what you did and for being here today.
My gosh, thank you so much for having me. It was amazing to be here.
Absolutely. And I'd love to know if there is anything else that you'd like to share with this audience.
I would just say that if you're feeling like you're stuck, if you're feeling like there's no options, there's no choice, that you're boxed in, just remember that that is just your mind trying to convince you and keep you over there and stuck, and it's not true. All it takes is one deep breath, one moment of like, wait a second, is this really true? What is really true for me? And stepping out of that box and remembering that, like, when I just snap my fingers like that, take that breath in, and like put my hands on my heart and say, you know what, I actually love you and I'm here for you. That gets you back into your power, into your heart. And
Mm.
that can be a new start in any moment, any day, at any time. It doesn't matter where you're at, it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter what you're doing in your life. You can restart any day. And just making that choice will change your life.
Yes. Yeah. And I love how you said, feel it to free it. Feel
Mm-hmm.
it to free it. Amazing. All right. Thank you all so much for being here. We'll see you again next week on Awaken and Ascend. Bye for now.